as it dawned the morning, there was thunders and lightning. A thick cloud settled on the mountain. The people trembled as they heard the voice of Elohim's own words, a sound of a ram's horn blasting. You shall be a kingdom of priests. You shall be a holy nation.
Shalom Aleichem Mishpachah. This is Todd and Tamara here from Paradigm Shift, and thank you again for joining us today. And as always, we want to give all glory to our Father, Yahweh, Yahuwah Elohim, in the heaven of heavens, with our King, Yeshua HaMashiach, sitting at his right hand, waiting for his enemies to be made his footstool.
That's right. And we're here to fight the false paradigms that have absolutely been built around you. There's no doubt about it. And we are not the first people to say so. There's been many people throughout history who have been saying these things. And
for
today
hundreds of years.
That's right. And today we want to talk about a certain man who, you know, our paths have crossed with his name several times. We never really thought much about it because we were so busy digging and researching and proving and testing all things to ourselves. It didn't really matter who was saying what. It mattered what the what was, and if we could convince ourselves or or prove to ourselves that these things were real or not. And it turns out we're not the only people that are doing stuff like that, and that one of the people in our time that was out there yelling the same things that we're yelling. His name was Bill Cooper. He did the same thing, and he was shot for it. He was killed for it.
Yeah, they trumped up a bunch of charges on him. First, what they do is they marginalize you, they marginalize anyone, and then they vilify you, and then they attack you to destroy you.
And that happens right in neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I mean, right,
Between
even
neighbors.
In our surrounding neighborhood, that's what neighbors do to each other, you know, and that's what believers do to each other. That's what Torah keepers do
Cities,
to each other.
Towns,
if you're not healed
Christians,
in your insides
Jews,
and in your hearts, then you will attack other people. You will oppress
Muslims.
other people because you are so oppressed. And we witness that everywhere.
And we oppress ourselves because we think that we've got it figured out and somebody else doesn't. The bottom line is, Mishpachah, whether you're a Christian, you're a Jew, you're a Buddhist, you're an Islamist, you're whatever, you don't have it.
You don't have it figured out. Get over yourselves.
Quit going against one another. We listen to people.
We hear
Christians like Steve Quayle, Hawk, Tom Horn. They don't like the people who are returning to Torah because it's against the law, because they haven't done their studies, they haven't researched things. It's through ignorance that we do these things to one another.
And it's revelation of Yah that gives us the gift of Torah. It is not something to be smashed down somebody's throat. And if they don't have it, it's because it hasn't been given to them yet.
Yeah, so leave each other alone. If they don't sing like you do, they don't play guitar like you do, they don't pray like you do, they don't open up the scriptures as much as you do, they don't keep the feast the way that you do, or they decide to keep things when you keep no law whatsoever out there in Christian land, quit yelling at people. Quit yelling at your own people.
This is how you
and putting each other down for
that. Yep.
Let each man figure out for themselves in their own mind with their relationship with Father. Quit trying to mold other people in your image. It's because of your own damage. Anytime we have anything reaction of our flesh that comes up, it's because of fear within inside of us. And the expression of the flesh is trying to control and manipulate others. It's anger. It's discontentment. It's all the stuff that we all know.
So Bill was shot in 2001.
Yeah.
In November 5th, 2001 is when he was shot, and he was a radio broadcaster. He wrote a book. He warned about all kinds of things that were going on.
Same things we've been telling you about.
Everything that we talk about. And so we want to play him for you today.
That's right.
Play his own words today. He does a good job of speaking to just the masses who don't want to hear.
And the bottom line is if we go about thinking that we've got it right in our own way, we are ignorant because we have no idea against the real enemy yes. who is opposing us. And unless we understand that, we have no basis to be able to fight it.
And Wikipedia is part of that enemy. You look up what they say about William Cooper on Wikipedia. They use a historian, a sociologist, and a political scientist to rip this man apart. Those people have all been trained in their system. This is part of taking your thoughts captive.
He was speaking that the American people were going to be the enemy of the New World Order. And he started doing this all the way back in 1975 and onward, Mishpachah. So without further ado,
here's Bill Cooper.
Here's Milton William Cooper. Yes. He gave his life for you, so you listen.
Well, just an ordinary average guy like everybody else, but many years ago I spent some time in the service of my country and was trained and indoctrinated into the Office of Naval Intelligence, where I spent several years as an intelligence operative. And there I saw an awful lot of documentation that just told me that the world is not what the average person thinks it is. In fact, everybody out there is living in fantasy land and are very seldom ever told the real truth behind the scenes. And I decided I didn't want anything to do with that kind of deception, so I left the service about 5 years before I could have retired very comfortably upon everybody's tax dollars. And I've been researching the meaning of all of the documentation that I saw and everything that I learned while I was in naval intelligence for the last 20-some-odd years, and the results are just absolutely amazing. Stop looking at the exoteric or what people are throwing out for you as bait and start looking at the esoteric, the real occult meanings of everything surrounding this assassination.
Listen to the program.
Kennedy was assassinated in Dealey Plaza, which is in the shape of a truncated triangle. In other words, the top has no capstone. There is an eye in that triangle. It's the underpass under the railroad overpass. Okay? This is a well-known occult symbol for the Illuminati, or those who are illumined, or the guardians of the secrets of the ages. Dealey Plaza also has the four quarters of a Celtic or Druid temple of the sun in Dealey Plaza. It is an exact duplicate, although cut in four quarters, of the temple of the sun, which is the outer courtyard of the Vatican. There is also an obelisk in Dealey Plaza, cut into 14 sections, which is the symbol of the phallus of Osiris, the lost word of Freemasonry, the generative force, the light Lucifer, which is the god of this secret society. I'm not preaching anything. I'm just telling people to open their eyes and look at what's there. Kennedy was assassinated on the 33rd parallel, the highest degree, the meritorious degree of the secret societies. He was assassinated on November the 22nd. You add November the 11th month with 22, you get 33 again. It also happens to be the anniversary date of the Pope's papal bull condemning the Knights Templar to torture by the Dominican monks under the Inquisition. You subtract the year 1307 when that papal bull was issued from 1963, and you get 666. Kennedy was shot in the head, the throat, and the back, the exact same wounds suffered by Hiram Abiff in the Masonic initiation, which they have sworn to revenge. I'm the first one who's ever looked at it. Everybody else is running around believing all these disinformation peddlers.
Who are they? Who are the disinformation peddlers?
They're all these people who write a new book every year with new evidence, with new this, with new that, all pointing in different directions. And one says it's the mafia, and the other says it's the Galen organization. The other blames it on the CIA. The truth is, it's members of all of those who belong to the secret societies.
How long have you been researching this?
God, for
20 years?
Yeah.
About 20 years, huh?
What other media exposure have you gotten?
Well, not very much, simply because people who play around with this and really try to get it out in front of the public eye usually end up dead somewhere.
You did appear in Flipside magazine, right?
Yes.
How much feedback from that?
Yeah, I got quite a bit of feedback. I was amazed that so many young people who usually aren't concerned about anything except getting in somebody's pants and getting high, were really interested in what's going on and where their country is heading. And I was surprised by that because I didn't think that many young people were, and that pleased me quite a bit.
How about hard copy? Haven't been on any of those or any other future things coming up?
Hard copy was going to put on the Kennedy information, and 1 hour before we were to go on the air, they got a phone call from a top executive in NBC and told them if they put me on the air, they'd all be fired. So that was the end of that.
How can a secret be kept so long? I mean, there's have to be some botch-ups along the way.
It's pretty easy when you think of who owns NBC in the first place, and the fact that they supposedly have been building these UFOs.
You're looking at it in the wrong way, guys. Normally, secrets can't be kept this long, and even though that they have been kept, there have still been leaks. And there always will be leaks when people are involved with anything.
And I guess you're a leak. You were a leak.
That's correct. But what you're looking at is not just a bunch of guys that decided to assassinate the president. You're looking at an ancient organization that goes back in history for some 6,000 years, which has blood oaths, which is, in fact, a religion, and everybody who belongs in it believes wholeheartedly and completely in what they're doing, and that's the real reason why the secret can be kept. They're promoting a religion with blood oaths that they'll be murdered if they ever reveal the secrets.
How about a Canadian link? Are there any Canadian links to the secret?
Absolutely. Just walk around in your own town, and pretty soon you're going to bump up against a temple without any windows that says the Masonic Lodge, Masonic Temple, Freemason Umpity-Ump, whatever.
Like the one on Agnes Street in New Westminster there.
How about Brian Mulroney, our Prime Minister? Is he aware?
Absolutely.
And he just quit, like, after he signed NAFTA, and that essentially, like, created Kingdom 1 of the New World Order, and then he got the hell out, like, just after Joe Clark did, you know.
Sure, so a new guy can come in and say, well, it's not my fault, you know, and continue on and do his part.
And actually, on Canada AM last week, on Wednesday morning, he actually said that he was going to move back to Montreal to pursue religious beliefs.
Number one, they have to understand that what's happening in the world today is not the result of any accident. It's the result of a long-range plan that is coming into fruition now to break down the sovereignty of all nations, destroy all existing religions, and create a one-world government, a one-world religion, which will be totalitarian and socialist in nature. And with these
what's wrong with socialism?
With these free trade agreements, they're in the process of destroying the middle class. What's wrong with socialism?
Yeah.
Socialism is for babies.
Okay.
Socialism is for people who cannot stand up and be responsible for their own actions, who cannot find their own job, who cannot feed themselves, where they decide exactly what they want the goal to be. Then they create two opposing sides, the clash of which will bring about the goal that they wanted, and the people will look at it as if it appeared by magic or by accident, or that it was their own idea, so they are more readily accept it. This is not a theory. If you study history and really get in and study these organizations, you begin to see that it's fact. That's one of the scenarios.
Or the fact is that they could conceivably begin to attack us with this sort of super secret technology about a year before this star is supposed to reappear in the heavens. Therefore, everybody would be in such a state of panic that the Illuminatis could say that, oh, well, hey, if you guys are all panicking, look, here's our star. We said it would reappear. There it is. We are right. You are wrong, and we're taking over.
So how did the U.S. Army, who seems to be bundling a lot of stuff, how did they get a hold of alien craft, and how long have we had contact with them?
Well, first place, it's not the U.S. Army. It's secret agencies within the United States government that are under control of the secret societies. These things are being flown at a super-secret test site called Groom Dry Lake or Area 51 in the state of Nevada. We have them on videotape, extensive footage both at night and daylight. They are what people normally call UFOs, flying saucers. Some of them are circular-shaped, that are owned and operated by humans. They're either remote-controlled or have human pilots. We're not exactly sure which. But they're not extraterrestrial at all. They're the results of a secret technology that were originally developed by the Germans during World War II, but not perfected to the state of being used as a weapons platform.
How did we get a hold of the technology? Like, did we meet aliens?
No, we took it from the Germans.
We took it from the Germans. Okay, how did the aliens, have anybody in the U.S. government ever met any aliens?
We don't know if there are any aliens at all. Governments cannot exist unless the people feel threatened. The primary job of a government is to give the people a modicum of safety. The United States government was formed by a union of the states for their mutual benefit and protection. Okay? Now, to have a one-world government and tear down all the national boundaries, you have to instill the people of the world with enough fear that they're willing to give up what they used to be loyal to and join with something that's new that they don't know what it's going to be. So what better way to do that than if the Earth were attacked or invaded by some other species from some other planet, whether real or imagined?
Okay, what about abductions? Here on the North Shore, well, in Vancouver, BC, there's something from the North Shore News here, Sunday, February 23rd, 1993. It says, Close Encounters of the North Shore Kind, 9 sightings in the past year prompt UFO researchers to look for alien hotspots. And in it, it talks about abductions and alarm sensors going off and dogs hearing whining and people getting radiated.
You got to be careful now. Dogs can't talk, so nobody knows what dogs hear, number one. Number two, most so-called ufologists or UFO researchers are blithering idiots and wouldn't know how to do any research if you sat down and taught them for a year. And number three, if you start looking into the actual research and development of brainwashing and mind control techniques by the United States, Great Britain, Canada, the Soviet Union, and others, and if you'll look at the mind control experiments and the actual lobotomies that were performed on people in hospitals in Canada, you'll see that this alien abduction thing is probably the most sophisticated and successful mind control operation ever conducted in the history of the world, and it's designed to make us believe that we're being threatened by some other species from some other planet so that they can have their one world government. Yes, in 1917, John Dewey said this in 1917. What better way to unite all humanity in a one world government than if we were attacked by some other species from some other planet?
Wasn't E.T. based on a true story? E.T.?
If what I saw in government documents when I was in naval intelligence is true, then yes. If not, it's just another part of the conditioning of our collective consciousness to accept the reality of something that doesn't exist.
And we've been on the moon since 1948 as well.
Yeah, what I'm trying to tell you is nobody really knows, but whatever the truth about UFOs is, it's being used to make us give up our freedoms and join in a one-world totalitarian socialist state, and that's what we better be careful of. It's just another one of my predictions that came true, but nobody seems... Right after World War II, A.V. Rowe built a veritable city in northwest Canada to work on top-secret aviation developments, one of which was the flying disc, which is called flying saucers or UFOs.
Which city?
Research A.V. Rowe. Find their secret test sites, and you'll be able to film these things flying in Canada just like I can film them flying here in the United States. Well, nobody's really a bad guy. You got to understand that these guys aren't doing this because they're evil or they think that they're bad. They're doing it because they actually believe that it's the best for all humanity. But their assumption is wrong. Anything that has to be manipulated, anything that has to be brought about by lies and deceit is inherently wrong in its premise to begin with. So they're fooling themselves. They believe that the rest of us are so stupid that we're just like cattle, and that's what they call us, and that they're the only ones with truly mature minds, and that they've got to bring all the rest of us under total and complete control so that they can run the world the way they want to, and they actually believe that there's going to be a utopia because of what they bring about. Look for names and symbols. For instance, Mazda is the name of one of the ancient representations of the god of this religion. So when you look at corporations like Honeywell and you see that they have a European division named Lucifer and things like that. I mean, people out there cannot depend upon people like me or anyone else, and I always tell people this, that you cannot ever worship a leader. You cannot believe anything that anyone says, and everybody listening right now, and everybody in this world, in fact, if we're going to maintain our freedom, and if we're going to have a good future, everybody has to learn to do on their own individual initiative what I'm doing. Watch for symbols of the sun and the moon. Procter & Gamble, the head of Procter & Gamble, was on a television talk show here in the United States, and he actually admitted that he had made a pact with the devil, and that's what made him rich. These secret societies actually worship the being called Lucifer.
One thing, Mr. Cooper, I just wanted to ask this before we run out of time here, is with all the things that I've read from your stuff, if the most nightmarish situation were to come true, from all the scenarios that you offer that may occur, what do you really advise to the average person? I mean, I recall reading the first time I ever read something of yours, which was that secret document, of the secret government essay you wrote. I felt quite paranoid after all that. I felt quite helpless.
Well, that's good. That's the defensive reaction.
Right, and so what do you prescribe as action to the person who now realizing this or now aware of it? What avenue should a person like me or anybody out there take?
Well, number one, they have to stop being deceived and learn what the truth is. Forget everything that you've ever been taught in your life, no matter who it was that taught it to you. Begin again, starting from scratch, doing real digging, real research, which is work, but it's also a lot of fun. And when you discover something that nobody else knows, it gives you a rush better than any drug that you could ever possibly take in your life. And learn what the truth is, because until you know what the truth is, there's nothing that you can do. Very simple. They're preaching Marxism.
Oh, and Marxism
One world,
is bad.
totalitarian, socialist government. There's a vein running through every one of these people who claim that they have contact, and they're getting messages from extraterrestrials, including Billy Meyer, including the Rael Group, including all of these people, the channelers, everything.
Shirley MacLaine?
If you get at the major theme of what they're saying, it is socialism, Marxism, the elimination of private property, the bringing into the world of the communist dream.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, that's your opinion, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm listening to the CIT.
It's not opinion, it's actual fact.
Okay, well, okay, well, I guess the people at CITR, other people listening might disagree with that. But anyways, moving away from that...
well, wait a minute. Let's not move away from it. In fact, the fact that you're so eager to move away from it makes me eager to stay with it for just a few more minutes. Look at the document known as the Tenets of Communism that Marx wrote. Okay? It spells out in steps, step by step, what the doctrine of international socialism is.
Okay, how is communism...
You compare those steps, what all these people are preaching, you'll find that there is no difference whatsoever. They're exactly the same. So it's not a theory. I'm not making this up. It's fact.
Okay, what's the difference between Freemasonry or the Illuminati and... Isn't there a big difference between Illuminati and communism?
They're all the same. Communism came from the Illuminati.
Are all chapters of Freemasonry involved in this? It would seem that, to me, there would be a hierarchy of these
Absolutely.
chapters.
That's how they control stupid people. Most Freemasons are very stupid, and they are the greatest group of followers in the world.
So my friend's dad is a Freemason.
That's
you
correct.
stupid, Ale.
So
my
question to people is, well, if the only honest man in Congress is not worth running for president in the next election, then what the hell are you people all about? I mean, why am I trying to save you when you're just that lost? I mean, you want to go after Ross Perot, who's in the pocket of the Rockefellers. They made him, they created him, and all he's doing is working for their interests. He's a billionaire. He doesn't give a damn about the guy that makes $5 an hour, and never will.
Okay.
The United States of America was founded by Freemasons, members of the Illuminati, for one purpose and one purpose only. It was an experiment in government to see if man could really rule himself or if he would have to be brought under control of those who can rule, and in the process topple the kings and queens of Europe off their thrones. Well, the experiment was successful in that it did topple the kings and queens off their thrones, but it has not been successful because man has abdicated his responsibility to rule himself, and the New World Order is going to put him in chains again.
Have there any been, Mr. Cooper, with this kind of stuff you're talking about and the kind of people you're talking about, have there been any threats on your life, or have you been worried about your own personal security?
I've been threatened, I've been attacked, all kinds of things have happened to us, but that's not important to anybody out there. Anytime anyone stands up and fights for what is right, they're going to come under attack. And why would anybody care when they don't care about sending people to die in Iraq or Kuwait? I mean, nobody asked those guys that question. Okay. Here I am in my country really fighting for freedom, and everybody, the first thing they ask me, aren't you scared? And my question is, why don't you ask those guys that you're sending to die in the desert in the Middle East for something that has nothing to do with our freedom? Why aren't you asking them if they're scared?
These private armies, though, have tried on a couple of different occasions, it's mentioned in your book, that they tried to kill you on 2 separate occasions and came and visit you in the hospital and everything.
That's correct.
You were run off the road.
That's correct.
And one of them cost you your leg.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, first I'd like to say this. Don't be too concerned about my health or what happens to me, because I really believe in what I'm doing, number one. And number two, I believe that any man or woman on the face of this earth who does not have principles that they're ready and willing to die for at any given moment, in my estimation, are already dead and are of no use or consequence to anybody. You people in Canada, you've already lost your Constitution, you've already lost your freedoms, you're already in the New World Order, and there's some really strange things going on up there that you better get a handle on real quick.
You shall not make for yourself the carved image, or bow down to them. You shall not bring the name of Yahuwah, your Elohim, to naught. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. Respect your